Every woman has one man she can't forget, not because of what he gave her, but because of what she felt in his presence. You can't quite name it. It's not his money, it's not his face, and it's not the words he says. It's something quieter, harder to see, but impossible to ignore. And if you carry these 5 signs, you already have it, even if you don't know it yet. Have you ever felt the weight of eyes on you, without looking to see who they belong to? It's not the kind of attention that bursts into a room with applause. It's quieter. Like the way sunlight finds its way through a half-closed curtain, it just touches you without asking for permission. This is how it begins for a man who is secretly every woman's crush. It is not in the loudness of his words, but in the depth of his being. He does not announce himself. The world discovers him, and when it does so with a mixture of curiosity and hunger. You may think the magnetic man is the one with perfect cheekbones, broad shoulders, and tailored suits. But here is the first truth. The kind of truth that makes philosophers stop mid-sentence. Looks are an invitation. Presence is the feast. Presence cannot be faked. It is born when a man has wrestled with himself in the dark and walked out carrying the fire in his chest. A man who is truly magnetic is a man who has met himself fully, without flinching. And because he has nothing to prove, he does not rush to display himself. This creates the first pull, mystery. But mystery is not about withholding words or playing games. It is about existing in such a way that your value is self-evident. You could be leaning against a wall at a crowded gathering, speaking to no one, and still someone will notice. Not because you are doing something, but because you are not doing what everyone else is doing. Most men, without knowing it, sabotage this quiet power long before it has the chance to mature. They confuse magnetism with performance. They think attraction is a dance of clever lines and exaggerated gestures. And so they exhaust themselves. What they don't realize is that true attraction often begins in stillness, not motion. This is where the trap is set. A man begins to notice he is being noticed, and instead of letting that awareness deepen his authenticity, he starts to adjust. A little more laughter, a little more posturing, a little less truth. Each adjustment, though small, pulls him further from the core of what drew others in to begin with. Psychologists like Carl Jung spoke of the anima, the inner feminine within a man's psyche. When a man has not integrated her, she becomes a ghost he projects onto the women he meets. She whispers in his mind, telling him that he must perform for love, that he must earn it through spectacle. And so he trades his sovereignty for the brief illusion of being desired. This is why so many men who begin with effortless magnetism lose it over time. They become like actors, trapped in a role they no longer wish to play. Their value becomes dependent on whether the audience claps. And the moment the applause stops, they feel empty. The first sign you are secretly every woman's crush is self-containment. It is not arrogance, it is sovereignty. You can be in a room full of beauty and not feel compelled to chase it. You can appreciate without grasping. You can speak without performing. You can listen without plotting your reply. Women feel this in ways they cannot always articulate. It is not that you are untouchable, it is that you are not starving. Your attention feels like a choice rather than a reflex. And that makes it rare. Rarity is irresistible. But self-containment is born from something deeper, a man's ability to be at peace in his own company. This is why monks in remote mountains have a kind of allure that cannot be explained in dating advice columns. It is the silent signal of a man who does not beg for the world, yet the world keeps coming to him. And yet this is only the beginning. Because once the world starts coming to you, the real test begins. Can you handle it without losing yourself? Most cannot. And that is where the descent into illusions begins. leading men away from self-mastery and into the anima's trap. Every man who carries a quiet gravity eventually meets the moment where the world's attention becomes his mirror. At first, it feels flattering. You notice the glances, the prolonged eye contact, the subtle gestures meant to draw you closer. And something in you, ancient and restless, awakens. This is where Jung's anima steps forward. She does not announce herself by name. She moves like a shadow behind your thoughts, whispering suggestions that feel like truth. You see how she looks at you? This is proof. This is love. Lean in, give her more. Her voice is intoxicating because it is the echo of every unfulfilled longing you have ever had. The anima is the inner feminine, the image of woman you carry in your psyche. But until you integrate her, she is not a real woman. She is a phantom stitched together from your memories, your unmet needs, your fantasies, and your mother's smile. When unexamined, she does not guide you toward love, she guides you toward projection. You stop seeing women as they are and begin seeing them as screens onto which your inner drama is played. It starts subtly. You begin to adjust yourself to match the image you think will please her. You bend your voice into a lower register. You choose words that sound clever rather than honest. You hide parts of yourself that might be misunderstood. At first it feels harmless. You tell yourself you're just putting your best foot forward. But there is a cost to every small compromise. Each one steals a fraction of your authenticity until what remains is a version of you that belongs to the audience, not yourself. This is the great irony of desire. The more you try to be what you think someone wants, the further you move from the thing that made them want you in the first place. Women can feel it, not always consciously, but deep in the unspoken realm of intuition. They sense the performance. They sense the hunger, and hunger is not the same as desire. Hunger takes, desire chooses. Attention can be addictive in the way a fire is addictive to the cold. The first spark feels like salvation, but the more you warm yourself by it, the more you need it to feel alive. This is why so many men become trapped in the cycle of pursuit. You begin to confuse being noticed with being valued. You start living for the glances, for the rush of validation. You tell yourself you are in control, but in truth, you have made the audience your master. The anima, unintegrated, feeds on this. She keeps showing you mirages, the idea that just one more encounter, one more conquest, will finally complete you. It never does. The second sign you are secretly every woman's crush is emotional clarity. While most men drown in the intoxication of attention, you remain anchored. You can enjoy the warmth of attraction without being pulled into the undertow of fantasy. You can see a woman's beauty without needing to possess it. You can receive interest without making it your source of worth. This clarity is magnetic because it is so rare. It tells women, even unconsciously, I am not here to complete myself through you. I am already whole. And when a man stands whole before a woman, he becomes dangerous, not in the sense of harm, but in the sense of being ungovernable. A man can live an entire life inside the illusion of projection. He can collect numbers, lovers, stories to tell his friends, yet never once truly meet a woman. Because the illusion is fed by constant novelty, it has no end. It is the hunger that eats the man from the inside out. The cost is subtle at first. Your words begin to feel rehearsed. Your laughter becomes automatic. You start anticipating what others want to hear before they say it. And in the quiet moments, when no one is watching, you feel hollow. That hollowness is the truth you've been avoiding. It is the signal that you've built your identity in the eyes of others, not in the stillness of your own soul. The turning point is not dramatic. It does not come with thunder or applause. It comes quietly, in a moment where you cannot pretend anymore. Maybe you wake up beside someone and realize you don't feel known. Maybe you see yourself in the mirror and wonder who taught you to stand like that, speak like that, move like that. Or maybe, and this is the most dangerous moment, you realize you've been performing so long that you no longer remember where the performance ends and you begin. This is when the real work starts. Not to win more attention, but to stop needing it. Not to play the game better, but to walk away from the board entirely. To reclaim sovereignty, a man must turn inward and meet his anima directly. He must see her not as a goddess to be worshipped or a temptress to be feared, but as a part of himself to be understood. Her voice, the one that whispers for validation, must be listened to without obeying. Her needs must be acknowledged, not projected. When you integrate the anima, she no longer drives you to seek completion in women. Instead, she becomes a bridge to understanding them, not as ideals or saviors, but as human beings with their own depths, shadows, and sovereignty. The third sign you are secretly every woman's crush is seeing clearly without illusion. You can look at a woman and see her beauty without being hypnotized by it. You can recognize her flaws without needing to fix or judge them. You can stand before her as an equal, not as a performer seeking applause or a beggar seeking warmth. This clarity makes you rare, and rarity draws people in. It tells women you are safe to be around, yet thrilling in your independence. They know you will not try to possess them, and paradoxically that makes them want to stay close. Once you integrate what you've been projecting, your energy stops leaking. No more constant scanning for validation, no more subtle adjustments to fit the invisible mold in someone else's mind. You stand as you are, and that is enough. People feel this before they understand it. When you are rooted in yourself, your presence gains a weight that words cannot imitate. The air around you changes. You don't have to fight for space. Space opens for you. You don't have to compete for attention. Attention drifts to you as naturally as water finding the ocean. Before, when you spoke to women, you were subconsciously asking for something: approval, affirmation, a reflection of worth. Now you are simply there. You can hold eye contact without it being a challenge or an invitation. You can listen without the mental noise of strategizing. You can leave without the hidden fear of being forgotten. The women who cross your path notice this. They may not know why they feel drawn to you, but they feel it. It is the relief of meeting someone who is not trying to take something from them. The fourth sign you are secretly every woman's crush is emotional generosity without neediness. You can give your attention, your warmth, even your admiration, but none of it comes with a hook. You do not give in order to get. You give because you are overflowing. This kind of generosity is rare because it requires abundance, not financial, but emotional. A man who is still seeking completion cannot offer this. His giving is always transactional. But a man who has met and integrated his anima has no hidden contract. His presence feels like sunlight, warm, nourishing, and freely given. The fifth and final sign is your relationship with freedom. You can want someone without clinging to them. You can love without trying to own. You can walk away without bitterness when something is no longer aligned. This terrifies and fascinates in equal measure. Because the man who is free cannot be kept through manipulation, only through mutual choice. And choice is far more intoxicating than control. Now you no longer live in the shadow of your anima. You no longer confuse projection with reality. You no longer confuse projection with reality. You no longer trade your sovereignty for the applause of strangers. Instead, you have become something far more dangerous, a man who is whole. The truth is, you were never meant to be every woman's crush. That was never the goal. The goal was to become the kind of man who could look at his own reflection without flinching. The kind of man who could stand in a room full of beauty and not feel the need to shrink or to swell, to be worthy of it. The kind of man who could give his presence without selling his soul. And somewhere along the way, in choosing that path, you became magnetic. Not because you followed a set of tactics, not because you memorized lines or perfected a performance, but because you stopped chasing and started being. When a woman encounters a man like this, he lingers, not because of what he did, but because of what he didn't do. He didn't bend himself to fit her fantasy. He didn't demand she fill the empty spaces within him. He didn't collapse into her beauty, nor run from it. Instead, he stood there, whole, sovereign, and unhurried. He was not trying to be remembered, and that is why he was. You see, most men spend their lives trying to be chosen, but the man who becomes every woman's secret crush has chosen himself first. And that choice radiates through everything he does, the way he moves, speaks, listens, and leaves. In the end, the question is not whether you can attract every woman. The question is whether you can attract the one who sees you, truly sees you, and still stays. And for that to happen, you must first see yourself. So, when you walk into the next room, remember this. Your worth is not in their eyes, it is in your spine. Your magnetism is not in your words, it is in your being. And if you live from that place, you will never need to wonder if you are unforgettable, because you will already know.